Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Chia-Ming's unique collection. This is a cool collection and it's probably not what you're expecting, so that's a good thing. Now, the first couple of watches we got here is, one of them is my very favorite. There's the Grand Seiko, and the Grand Seiko, this is a spring drive model. This watch, they're beautifully designed, and they're really beautiful watches from the top to the bottom. And at about 8 o'clock, there's a little power reserve indicator for the wind-up spring that drives the quartz, that drives the almost perfect time that you get from the Grand Seiko. Now, next to it is one of my favorite watches. It's an Urban Jurgensen. This one is the 1140L. Love that watch. It's the kind. In fact, I like all of Urban Jurgensens. There's a certain something to it. I just don't know what. It's the essence of it. The big apple on the hour hand I like too, for the kind of watch that I like. It's simple and yet it's elegant at the same time. All right, now these next two watches are they look almost identical, but they're not. On the one hand, there's a Nomos Orion Neomatic Midnight Blue, and this is sort of the Bauhaus pair, and this is the kind of watch that I always see as a perfect office watch. The one next to it is a Junghans Max Bill, and it's another one that has this Bauhaus clarity to it and functionality to it. And again, these are both office watches. They're very if you like that kind of thing, I think they're excellent examples. They're both gray too. All right, what you can begin to see now, here you have one, the Grand Seiko, and then you have the Urban Jurgensen, and then you have a Nomos, then you have a Junghans. These are not your typical. they go together in a sort of a uniqueness of choices. And I like them all because they're interesting. Now, this next one is called the Bornova Aegean. That is, I haven't seen one of those. Chia-Ming said it was just one of his everyday watches he liked. Now, this next one, the Orage Autark. This watch is really interesting, extremely interesting. Now, they entered a one in the 2019 Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. It didn't go anywhere, but I always like the fact that they're trying. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is a number of things, but just for now, you have a power reserve indicator at 6 o'clock. I don't know how common that is. You have the small seconds at 9 and the date at 3 o'clock, but that's pretty common. But the interesting thing about it is the movement. It's called the K1 movement, and it has a VPH of 25,200. That's 3.5 hertz. And the story behind the development of it, first of all, it's one of the people involved in developing it is a mountain climber, and that's why it's called K1. It was a very steep hill. Now, when a company decides they're going to develop their own movement, you're talking about a lot of time or money or talent, and they didn't have a lot of money. They had some time and they had a lot of talent. I'm trying to think, one of the guys had worked. Two of them had worked for Eterna, and one of them had worked for Patek Philippe, and they're all young guys. And one guy had nothing to do, had never done anything with watchmaking, but he was pretty sharp in business. And one of the things what they were able to do is to he found some areas where there were no patents that they could then do some development that wasn't already patented. And it's sort of like a lot of little stories behind this. And to me, it just knocks me out. 3.5 hertz, who's got that? It's an interesting one. So they got their own movement. Horizon is called the Autalk. And the company behind both the K1 and the Horizon, very, very interesting story about how both the movement got made and through the watch. It was a crowdfunded watch. Okay, interesting watch. Now this next one is another one that's is a lot of stories behind that, and I'm never sure which one to believe. All right, this is a Creedor, and they sort of have that Patek Philippe Calatrava simplicity and beauty in it. Really a nice one. And this one, Chia-Ming sent me both the front and the back. And the back, what you can see that's sort of interesting is that the barrel reveals the spring inside. I don't, to me, that's sort of cool. It's a very interesting idea. But then they hide the winding gear and everything else that goes with it. They got these two giant plates. They also have the power reserve indicator on the back. This is the same thing that you see in a lot of H. Moser watches. A great idea, because then you have this really beautiful dial. You don't have to, you don't have to clutter up like my this Chronomat Souverain. I like a power reserve indicator on the front or the back. So, okay, there's one that they actually, I was going to say it's a moon phase. They put the moon phase on the band because they ran out of room. It's kind of different things that have been done. Anyway, so this is a Creedor. This is a beautiful dress watch. Just fantastic. And like I said, the only thing about the watch that I wish there was more of, I wish they had some smaller plates and bridges on the back so you could see more of the movement. Okay, now these final two are really interesting. One is called ABBA Super Mario Brothers Collaboration. And Chia-Ming said when he was a kid that growing up, these were the most popular games, and so he got that watch, which I think is a great idea. I mean, it's like, oh, is this high horology or is this that? It's something that means something to you, and I think that's a great example of it. The final one is another interesting watch. I mean, it's sort of like one, I thought of buying one of these just to have one, but then I keep thinking, well, I don't know what I'd do with it. And this is a Swatch System 51 Blue. For those who aren't familiar with what Swatch did, Swatch decided they're going to have a mechanical movement and they're going to seal it, all right, so no one can get to it. And I've seen some examples of some reviews. They wanted to see it look like, and boy, I tell you, tearing that thing apart was a lot of work. I think they had to use a bandsaw to get to the movement in it. And, it's a fairly simple movement, but the idea was they're going to make this automatic movement. They're going to call it the System 51. You wear it until it breaks and you throw it away, all right? Because you can't fix it because they made sure you couldn't do that. And to me, that makes it an interesting watch, not because you can't fix it or you're not supposed to get to it, but it has a certain kind of uniqueness, I think. Also, too, I like the dial and the whole thing. It just looks like it sort of lives on your wrist. A little date window at 6 o'clock is a little small for me, but I like the way they have the numbers, both in the sort of 5-minute indexes with the numbers, as well as the bigger, either a big dot or the regular 1 through 12 numbers that they have. Okay, well, this to me, this collection is one of those where you really can see a person who's finding out what he likes. there's no popular path. But on the other hand, the choices are really cool choices. There's some watches I've never seen before. I've seen the Haraj, but I've never seen the Bornova Aegean. I didn't know what that was. And yeah, it's not high horology or even strong horology, but it's sort of a cool watch. It's just I like the color and a few other things like that. But the one I think that is one of the most interesting is the Haraj because of the story behind the movement, which is a totally different story. We'll have to look at another date. In the meantime, I'm always looking for collections to review. If you've got a collection, and it doesn't matter what kind it is. I mean, some people say, well, mine's, high horology all the way through, and I don't want people to think I'm a snob. Don't worry about it. I won't think you're a snob. And other people say, well, mine is, it's not very fancy, and that's okay. It's the point is, these watches show interesting decisions in collections, not how rich or poor you are. All right. So anyway, so if you have a collection you want, take a look at the end here. You'll see a link, and there's a little video I made how to prepare your watches for review and where to send them. Okay, till the next time we have a little vest pocket, next Friday. This is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection. And if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas is coming up. And until then, Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.